Please try and sit still. The meditation class is still going on. I have, just a few announcements to make. First one, this Sunday is, the time is being changed this Sunday in the United States. So, if you live in Israel or Europe, I think the time will go back to where it originally was before the change took place last week. But check on it, I'm not an expert on all this daylight savings time. It's always very confusing because I'll send out the email 1:00 my time, and it should be, 6 hours, 7 hours later, either in Europe or Israel. But check on it. Second thing is that on around the 17th of this month, I'm going to go away on a vacation for about 7 to 10 days. So there won't be classes in that period. Frankly, 2.5 years of doing this almost nonstop, I need a rest. So I'm going to be taking a trip and going somewhere and just taking some time off. The classes will resume when I do get back, which will be between 7 and 10 days from when I leave. It'll be over the Thanksgiving weekend here in the United States. And the third thing is I have now in-person classes with people that coming from different places. Some live in New York, some live in, near Connecticut. Everyone's invited to do this. I know people live in Europe, they live in Israel, but if, you want to come, you should get in touch with Jennifer and she will arrange the time. It's like a retreat. These classes are extremely deep and powerful. I do hands-on healing with people. And, I've decided that this is very important for me to do. Right now, I have people here, and not only the 7 meditation classes I do on Zoom, but there'll be, I think, 8 others in the same week. So it's a very busy period for me. I really like doing this, in-person class. The energy is really strong. There's deep healing that goes on, transformation. Anybody who wants to attend, just get in touch with Jennifer and arrange a time, and she'll tell you, yes, Stuart is here and we'll do it, and this is good, and these are the hours that will set up the in-person classes. You're all welcome. And I know people live in Israel, they live in Europe, but it's not a half-hour commute. People have to stay in hotels and it gets expensive. And also a number of the people that come make donations so I can continue doing this. But everyone's welcome. If you find time and you want to come, you're welcome to come. But just get in touch with Jennifer and she will arrange those times with you. What's the right time and, everything like that. Does anyone have a question they would like to ask?
I have a question, Stuart.
So,
somebody close to me has been fighting suicide for like 8 years or so. Every day she's fighting against it. I was wondering, what do you think about that? I mean, now she's really had it. And
not much to think about it, obviously she doesn't want to kill herself if she's thinking about this for 8 years. Mm-hmm. And look, if she wants to change and really wants to transform, that part of her that contemplates suicide, that she can transform that death wish inside her into something that wants to come alive, into a rebirth wish. But she has to make that commitment. I can't do that. You can't do that for her. She has to say, it's enough of this bullshit. Mm-hmm. Enough of wanting to kill myself. I truly want to have an amazing life. And mm-hmm. then, honestly, God will take care of her. Mm-hmm. She will find somebody to mentor her, to be a teacher, a guru, whatever one wants to call it, that will truly help her to transform her life. But that is completely dependent on her.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And when people have been like that in my life, my job was to love them anyway. Understand? Love them unconditionally, let them. And if it ever turns around in them, I was there to help them. I've had many people like that in my life, and it works if they are willing to do. You can't help people that are not willing to help themselves. Can't do it.
True.
I don't care where people are psychologically, mentally, emotionally, economically. I mean, I've had people in prison study with me. I've had street people study with me. I have all kinds of people. I've had fabulously wealthy people study with me. That's not an interest of mine. What I'm interested in is, do they want to grow and change? And sometimes people in this person's condition become better students. The hardest people I've ever had to teach are fabulously wealthy people. They want to be important. They want to be special. I've had movie stars study with me. I've had all kinds of people like that study with me. And it's very difficult to teach them because there's such an ego involvement and sense of their own importance that it's very, very difficult, to pass on spiritual teachings to people. So I don't care. I'm not interested in all that, I'm only interested, does she or he or whoever it is, do you want to grow spiritually? It's the only concern I have. And if you people make that commitment in themselves, they have me 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
But it can't be lip service commitment.
No.
Be a real commitment. They're willing to come to classes. They're willing to come and, come here and sit with me and, and learn how to transform that insanity into a spiritual life. So, that's my approach to that. And I've had enough of it, Lisa. I really have. Mm-hmm. So many people that were living in the dregs of life. And many of them became amazingly successful in their life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No, I understand. Yeah. Yeah. Another question I have is, during the meditation, sometimes I want to close my eyes. They just want to shut. Is that okay?
That's not a problem.
Not a problem? Okay.
No, close them. I mean, look, close them for 30 seconds, a minute. Relax your eyes, and then open them again. Not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
This is not fanatical that you got to sit here and stare for 45 minutes. I mean, if your eyes get a little tired, you close them and you relax them and then you open them. The meditation works because the eyes are open, because that's how the Shakti is transmitted into people that attend. I wish you were in my class last night, because somebody asked me this question and I spent 15 minutes explaining. You go to there's a video of it that's, online, either on Facebook or one of those, or YouTube or somewhere like that. And I talked about this for 10 or 15 minutes about why the eyes are open in the meditation class. But if your eyes get tired and if you feel like they're, strained a little bit, close them. Don't force yourself to keep your eyes open. Close them for a minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, and then you open them.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Stuart?
Yes.
Can you talk about reaching the place in life when you understand that we create our reality?
Nice place to be, Larry. Look, how do you talk about that? You do your inner work. you make the commitment, and it happens. You have developed a chakra system in yourself that enables that to happen. And suddenly you see a different world. I mean, when I was a kid, I saw a crazy world. You know, I really saw a crazy world, a world that was full of, you know, and I somehow, people coming, I somehow never accepted it, you know, and then when I met Rudy, when I met Chris, anyway, when I met Rudy, you understand, I began to understand I was seeing the reflection of myself. I had to change. It took years for that change to become a reality. It took taking on huge situations on myself, things I wasn't used to doing and I ran away from most of my life, in order to begin to transform me inside and get big enough to make room in me to see a different world. And the things that were negative were no longer negative. They were just my teacher. They were a reflection of me, the negativity in me that had to change. And the wonderful thing about that is the world doesn't change. We live in an insane asylum here. We change. We change. I mean, how do I make Vladimir Putin change? You can't do it. You know, what am I going to do? You know, I have to change and learn to grow that God is love. You know, and that my interactions with other human beings are based on, you know, love, based on compassion, based on joy, based on service in the world to help people and to help myself to grow. That transformation took place in me. That's why I do these classes. I mean, I have resistance to take a vacation. I mean it. I mean, most people here, I see them once a week, twice a week. You know, I take 7 days off. I have, oh, should I do this or not? You know, is that part of your work? You know, but sort of finally I've gotten big enough to be able to take a vacation without feeling guilty about it, you know? So there's no answer to that question, Larry, except you grow into it. You grow into it by becoming literally a child of God living in the world. And then it all changes, you know, everything, life changes. Chris, check your clock. We're an hour earlier right now. So you came an hour late, you know. Look, on Sunday, it's going back to the original time, but we had daylight savings time change, you know, so that it's a different time. But this Sunday, we go back to the original time because the clocks change here in the United States. Does anyone else have a question they would like to?
I do.
Yes. Speak up.
Why the tears?
Huh?
Why the tears? The tears.
Why the tears?
Yeah.
Well, you know, look, honestly, your name is Galit?
Mm-hmm.
Galit, when I was first introduced to this meditation, when I first did it, for the first 6 months, every day I had tears flowing from my face. I didn't realize in my life that I could open this way. I could touch this kind of depth inside myself. I could release these blocks in me that were creating so much tension and so much unhappiness. They weren't tears of sadness, they were tears of joy. That this kind of opening is possible. I mean, I would walk out of my teacher's class, my shirt was drenched. It was drenched, you know? And I realized these were not tears of being unhappy. These were tears of joy. These were tears of me being to open in a place where I was able to let go of so many things that were keeping me from being happy as a human being. And I had finally found a form of meditation that was strong enough to let me do it. So the tears, I mean, it's also an organic part of this, and they're not tears of unhappiness, they're tears of gratitude. And sometimes you get really happy and you start crying, All that pain is released and the heart is open and there's love and there's joy and we cry. And that's the kind of tears these tears are. And you have to realize that in you and everybody else, there are pockets of unhappiness. There are repressed areas of negativity inside every human being. And when you do this inner work, you hit those repressed areas, you release them. You have a chance to flush them out of your system and to get rid of them and to get rid of the unhappiness, the guilt, being a victim, being this, fear, insecurity. And my God, we have a right to cry. It's like being released from prison, So they're not tears of unhappiness, they're tears of gratitude. And I know I went through this for 6 months. I had this.
Actually, I haven't felt anything like gratitude or it just, I just had tears. I just had tears without feeling anything. It was like they were just pouring.
Well, just the tears. Look, sometimes, honestly, you have a relationship with another human being. You fall in love with that person. They bring joy to your heart. You can cry. Sometimes you find something like, for instance, this meditation that will enable you to open inside, to bring tears.
Thank you.
So don't worry about it. It's not a negative thing. It's just simply you maybe having found something that can truly open you inside yourself.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay, if there are no more questions, there will be meditation on Thursday. Next Sunday, the class will be, I guess, anyway, it'll be the same time that it was. Because we're going back an hour here in the United States, so I'll send out the invitations for 1 o'clock class my time, and I think in Europe it's 6 hours, in Israel it's 7 or 8 hours. I don't know, whatever it is. So thank you, and God bless you all, and have a wonderful evening. And as I tell you all the time, every one of you is a teacher for me, and I just am very grateful to be here and to do this anyway. So bless you all, and thank you.
Thank you.
See you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome.
Thank you.